Hello, everybody. My name's Molly, and I just returned from the Global Mission and World Hunger Conference in Elkhorn over this past weekend, and I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience with you guys. So, Heather and I went representing our synod, and there were about 30 of us in attendance, and we were definitely the youngest people there, which was really cool to see. But I got to meet some absolutely just amazing people and hear their stories about traveling and their relationships with their companion synods, which was really cool to hear. And also learn more about World Hunger and the efforts that the ELCA is making in that department as well. So the things that stood out most to me about the conference were, first of all, we got to hear a young adult in Global Mission share her story and talk about accompaniment and the ways that when we're engaging in Global Mission, it shouldn't be about, oh, I'm going to come in and save this person because I feel bad for them. It should be about walking with the person through life and not out of pity, but out of love for the person. And that really stood out to me, and it's something that I think is really important in Global Mission. And I actually decided, based off of that talk, that when I graduate next year, I'm going to apply to be a young adult in Global Mission. And so I'm really excited about that opportunity. And for those of you who don't know what it is a year-long volunteer program in some developing country that the ELCA has a connection with. And basically you apply, and then based off of your experiences and what they need, they pair you with a country, and then you raise money to go there, and you get an orientation in your country and learn their language, and then you spend the whole year there. And so I'm really excited about that opportunity, and it was really awesome to get to learn more about it. The other thing that I really enjoyed about the conference was we were able to have a race and culture Bible study where we talked about systematic racism and also institutional racism. And like I said, Heather and I were the youngest people in attendance there. And so it was amazing to have that intergenerational talk with other people about racism. And we looked at the story of the 10 talents, which, is often used as a stewardship sermon, and we looked at it from the perspective of the person in charge being corrupt, and in our current social context, that would be people in power would be white people, and then the servants underneath who were given these talents would be people of color. And so the first two are able to work under the corrupt system and make the person really happy who's in charge, and they're rewarded for it, just like people of color who are willing to put aside their own culture and assimilate to white culture are rewarded for it by getting jobs and things like that. And then you have the third servant who said, no, you're corrupt, and basically I'm not going to play your game, and how they were punished for it. And so we looked at that from the perspective of people of color trying to hang on to their culture, and what does that look like in a multicultural society, and how do we better engage in a multicultural society with that in mind. And so that was huge for me, because I've found that my generation is pretty good about talking about racism, but I've noticed that when I try to talk to my parents about it, it doesn't go as well. So it was really, really cool for me to get to talk to older people about these topics, and something that I feel passionate about. And on the second day of the conference, we ended up splitting into two groups, one for Global Mission and one for World Hunger. And Heather went to the World Hunger, so she'll probably have some fun stuff for you guys from that. And I went to the Global Mission section. And what we talked a lot about was how we engage in relationship with our companion congregations and churches. And so, as you guys know, ours is Tanzania. And what I found really interesting is that I know we have a really great relationship with Colombia based on the connections that Pastor Dave has, but that they're not an official companion of ours. But we only have one companion congregation right now through our synod. And I'm not sure if Marquette is exclusively the only congregation that's engaging in a lot of stuff with Colombia right now. But I know that my home synod, the Northwest Lower Michigan Synod, actually has 3 companion churches. So one thing that I had talked with the ELCA church-wide person about was the possibility of adding another official congregational companion in Colombia. So that was one thing that came through. But another thing that was really huge for me about the Global Mission that we learned about was basically the fact that there are going to just be huge cultural differences between congregations, and how do we navigate through that. And so basically what we talked about was the fact that we want to stay in relationship with them even if we have differences, and to not dwell on those differences, and also not like make a big thing out of trying to convince one side or the other that, you know, the opposite side is correct. And the fact that we all know that centrally we're all, you know, talking about the same thing, and we're all focused on helping one another and on the greater love that exists there. And so that was really cool for me to hear, because that's something I've struggled with in working with our companion church from Latvia in my home synod. And so it was really nice to get to hear a new perspective on that. And I have really high hopes for the ways that we can continue to engage in our global mission, but also how we can expand that. I think that young adults in global mission is something that we should definitely hear more about at Northern's campus. And so I'm really excited about that right now, and also the possibility of extending our congregational outreach to other countries as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity to go to this and for the synod's support. And feel free to let me know if you guys have any other questions. Thanks.